So one day I was in my backyard walking my cat on her leash because that's a normal part of everyday life for me. And my mind started wandering. I looked around my backyard and thought, I've always wanted a backyard pizza oven. What if I bought one and dedicated the rest of the next year to learning how to make incredible pizza at home? Hi, I'm Maddie, and I'm going to back up a couple of steps to talk to you a little bit more about the context behind how this personal challenge popped into my mind. A couple of years ago, I had read a few blog posts by a writer named David Kane. He wrote about this idea called a depth year. There are a few ways that you can do it. One way is taking the books that are already on your shelf or the musical instruments that you already own, whatever equipment you have for the hobbies that you're interested in that are already available to you, and spend a year going in depth on them instead of seeking novelty, equipment for new hobbies, new books. This idea really stuck with me because, frankly, as much as I love novelty as the next person, always seeking novelty, always chasing it is really kind of a stressful thing. I kind of wondered, what if I went deeper into interests and hobbies that I already had? And in the context of my interest here, I figured I could even apply that to one cookbook. I could cook my way through the whole thing. For me, the last few years have involved a lot of challenging life transitions, a lot of loss, a lot of grief. For someone who, like me, had always been interested in home cooking, has a whole collection of cookbooks, who really loved cooking from them, cooking and eating had become a lot more about efficiency and feeding myself something healthy-ish as quickly as possible, rather than exploring new cuisines, diving into my wealth of cookbooks on the shelves behind me. So I'd really gotten into efficiency and optimization mode with my cooking. It was really more about checking a box than it was about being creative. So when I recalled this idea of a depth year project and felt this spark of energy with the idea of focusing on pizza and getting really good at one specific type of food, one specific set of skills, I figured, why not merge the two and try a depth year project that was really focused around pizza. I also decided that having a salad alongside the pizza might make it feel a little bit more balanced. So I really wanted to do a pizza and salad combination. So the idea of making one pizza and one salad per week, that kind of felt like a predictable framework. I felt like it might balance the overwhelm that otherwise might come from trying to cook my way through an entire book. Another thing that appealed to me about this project is that I had so much to learn in both areas. I can only recall one time that I've successfully made a home pizza that I would be happy serving to other people. And as much as I love vegetables, I really haven't made very many salads in my days. That said, neither of these things felt so complicated as to be totally out of reach. Both pizza and salad feel like blank slates for improvisation and creativity. So my hope is that throughout this challenge and by the time I'm done with it, I will feel a lot more confident in coming up with fun new combinations. And I hope it unleashes my sense of creativity as a home cook. All right, so back to that story about me walking my cat. I came back inside, unclipped her from her leash and harness, and immediately went to my computer to begin Googling what kind of cookbook I might buy to organize this project. And this all kind of felt like perfect timing because, as it turns out, the following week, this cookbook, Pizza Night by Alexandra Stafford, was coming out, and so I immediately pre-ordered it. I write a newsletter called On the Cusp, and after this epiphany came that I wanted to do this project, I immediately wrote a newsletter, and it turns out it really resonated with a lot of people about my desire to seek depth in my own life. This quickly became one of the most popular things I had written, which in some ways I shouldn't have been surprised by because David Kane's ideas on the subject had really captivated me and stuck with me for years afterward, right? So people responded really positively to this idea and expressed a lot of desire of wanting to do something similar in their own lives, whether it was cooking related or not. Since it resonated, and since I wanted, honestly, a way of documenting this whole year for myself, I figured, what better way of inviting you into the process than by video? Frankly, I'm more comfortable behind the scenes, but I felt like video was just the most honest way to share the ups and downs of this process with you. That brings me to what this series is going to be about and what you might expect. In each video, you can expect me to talk about the pizza and salad recipe pairing that I'm making that week, as well as how the previous week's efforts turned out. If you're at all interested in cooking through this book along with me, I think that format might lend itself nicely to a little cookbook club. I'll announce and begin the recipe each time, and then check back in next week about how everything went. So obviously, I'm going to be talking a lot about pizza and salad through this video series. But really, more broadly, it's about the joys and frustrations about going deep on any hobby you have, whether cooking related or not. At the heart of it, that's actually really the point of the series. And I'm so curious what those ups and downs are going to look like in my own journey and yours. What happens when we stick with one project or pursuit or hobby or challenge for longer than feels comfortable? What happens if we don't immediately jump to something shiny and new when we meet resistance? What epiphanies might I have when I don't allow myself to flit from one novelty to the next? In the process, I really hope to inspire you to either continue or start your own pursuit of depth in your own life, whatever your area of interest looks like. Maybe it's a lifelong interest that you've let lie dormant for a while, or maybe it's learning something new, like a language or an instrument. Something that's super tough to stick with, especially as a beginner, because I am a total beginner in this space too. You can follow along with this project by subscribing to my newsletter or on YouTube. If you decide that you want to cook along with me, I've included a link to the cookbook below. All right, so we've talked a little bit about what this project is, but let's talk about what it isn't. First off, this isn't me trying to host a cooking show. To me, a key ingredient of going in depth here is going to involve being present with the cooking and eating of this food, rather than being hyper-focused on filming every step for content. This also isn't going to be an explicit how-to series, so don't necessarily expect tutorials on how to knead your dough. I'm not necessarily trying to teach you to make the things that I'm cooking, in no small part because I'm a total beginner at making them myself. This cookbook does that spectacularly, and if you're interested, you should really pick up a copy. I also have a number of resources that have been really helpful to me so far, and I will make sure to link to them along the way. Finally, also remember that this is not going to be a cookbook review. If it were, the fact that I'm excited enough about it to dedicate the next year of my life to it is probably an automatic 5 stars. Going in depth with just about anything is bound to come with highs and lows. Plus, trying to cook something from cover to cover, I'm bound to run into my own idiosyncrasies, preferences, biases along the way. Next time, I will be back to share the prep work that went into getting ready to undertake this project, because actually, there was a bit more involved than I might have expected. As I sign off today, I'm curious. If you were to embark on a depthier project, what would it be? I'm excited to see your responses down in the comments and excited to see you back here soon.